good bunch. You shut up when you need to, and it's like brilliant. You guys are really good. Not shut up. I wasn't meant to be so rude. It was like be quiet. So, welcome back. Hopefully that break was lovely. Dependent on how speakers go, you will be sat in your chairs for a little while, but if we've got a bit of time in between, we might take a short break just to make sure that we're keeping the schedule. But it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Tommy Gentleman, who will be talking about websites and actually what's really important about your website in 2025. And he's the CEO and founder of Type 55. Please welcome Tommy.
Yeah, just leave it on there, thanks. Hello everyone. How was your break? Sunny, it's really nice out there, isn't it? So I want to say thank you first. Demetrius, thank you for putting this all together in a room. Thank you to you guys for making the time. It'd be great to understand a little bit more about you, so let's just play an easy game, show of hands. Alright, first of all, show of hands if you've been a resident of Andover for more than 5 years. Just keep your hand up. Keep the hand up if you've been a resident of Andover for more than 10 years. 15? 20? 25? Anything more than that? Perfect. Right, cool. Let's play another little game of show of hands. If you're here and you are a business owner in any capacity, put your hand up, please. Awesome. And down again. And if you're here from like a sort of job capacity role, put your hand up. Yeah, great. And then anything else in between, put your hand up. Charities, organisations, that sort of thing. Yeah, great. Perfect. Cool. All right. So yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about websites. I am, because I believe the website is your digital shopfront. And I do think that things have changed a little bit, and I'm sure you'll agree. The talk is called From Bricks to Clicks, because the way that people shop, the way that people do business has dramatically changed over the last probably 5 years, but especially the last 25 years. So for those of you that had your hands up for longer than 25 years, you'll remember what it used to be like. You'll remember walking into town, busy town centre. You remember Adams, remember that shop? Indulgence. Do you remember like MVC?
Yes.
You used to be able to go and listen to music before you bought it? On a CD? Do you remember Blockbuster Video?
Yes.
Yeah, oh dear. So all of these shops that we used to go to years ago, and the main reason why things have changed is the way that we browse and the way that we buy things and do businesses has changed a lot. However, the reassuring and probably the revealing part of it is the psychology behind it all has stayed the same. I'm going to show you that today and hopefully simplify a lot of this marketing stuff, yeah? Because marketing at the end of the day is all about ATC. Attention, traffic, conversion. So back in the day, we used to go into town because that's where we would go when we need something or want something. That's where we would go and divvy up our attention. And what would we be giving our attention to? Begins with S, ends in S, and you can hop in between. Shops, I made that up, that was popular. Shops, we would give our attention to shops. This isn't just clothing shops or shoe shops, anything like that. This was also places of business where you could go and interact with people that you might need on a B2C basis as well. There aren't many businesses now that really have to be in the town centre, which is quite interesting because the world has opened up. The way that we divvy up our attention has now dramatically shifted into a digital world, which is probably why you guys are all here, because you want to understand how to get a little bit of that coming your way, a little bit of that attention. When it does come your way, that's traffic. So when we used to go into town, we used to walk in between shops, and we would go into the 4 different music shops you could choose from. Bonus points if you can name them all, by the way. I've definitely got 3 of them in my head. Woolworths counts as well, because they had music at the back. Okay, R Price, Falcon Records, throwback, and NBC, I won't give you that one. But when we used to walk to all the different shops, that's us moving, that's traffic. Us going into town is traffic. Well, that's changed. Traffic is now a click. Who's seen Wreck-It Ralph? You know, like the second one where, like the little e-boy, he calls him, because he keeps popping up everywhere, and when he's like clicked on, he whizzes into a different part of the world, the online world. That's what traffic is now. So traffic, yes, it's still turning up to a physical place, but it's also a click. And then a conversion. Now a conversion back in old times, the old town centre, was when you used to walk in and say, "How do you do, sir? I would like to buy some of your finest socks, please." And then that person would then serve you those socks, you'd pay them money and you'd walk out with those socks. I have got socks on, you've had a look. They're those ones that are invisible and you just slide them over your toes, basically, like toe warmers. But that was the conversion. That's changed now. The conversion happens through lead capture, the conversion happens through e-commerce, the conversion has dramatically shifted too. Okay, now we sometimes neglect the conversion part because it happens invisibly. Like you can go to sleep and get around this. What a time to be in business, by the way. You can go to sleep, you can wake up and you could have done some business. That could be someone inquiring, DMing you, depending on how your business is set up and how you convert people. You can wake up and have more business. That's mad, isn't it? Like once upon a time, that was a fairy tale situation. We now live in that. But we can sometimes neglect the conversion part because we're not seeing those people walk in and go, "Nah, I'm not interested, sorry," and then they leave your website. We don't see that, do we? We don't feel that neglect and that rejection. But I bet if we did, we'd probably spend more time on the conversion. Now, we don't have time to cover all of it today, and there's lots of different things going on and things that you can learn from. I would encourage you to make notes from anything that's useful from my little part list. But there's lots of great stuff and has been already. We can't cover it all, but if you'd like to know more about the ATC and how that applies to you, we're doing a local workshop at the end of April, so ask us about that, because we can help you a little bit deeper. We've only got about 26 and a half more minutes. Okay? Is that right? No, less. 24. Close. There you go then, take a good look at that, ladies and gents, because that's what town used to look like. That is Blockbuster, that is now Frango's. And that's NBC. I don't know what happens in there anymore. Something happens in there, I don't know what it is. But it's open sometimes, it's not, it's some sort of community place. I think they were doing vaccines in there at some point. But isn't that mad how much that's changed? Now, both of those companies have gone out of business. Blockbuster, well, their business model, they didn't think they would be disrupted by the likes of Netflix and the digital revolution, but they massively were. They actually were too stubborn and arrogant to adapt, so they went out of business and started closing at a rapid rate. But I can remember going through that door, looking at the films, looking at what I was allowed to rent, what's the age related, looking at the games, like asking my mum if I can rent an N64 game to take home for the weekend. And you had to pop them back in a little letterbox out the front there. And if you didn't, then you got a slap on the wrist next time you went. Crazy. Now you just click a button and there it is, you're watching it. And if you don't fancy it, you turn it off and you click something else and you watch that. NBC used to go in there and we used to try music. We used to put it on, choose the track of the album that we wanted to listen to, take the album to the counter and go, "Can I listen to this please?" And they go, "Yeah," load it up on dock 3. You go over there, put the headphones on, amazing. You would get to try that before you bought it. Well, that's all massively changed, hasn't it? But there are also many other things that have changed, and there's a good reason for that. Over the last 25 years, there have been 4 pivotal moments in history and in the evolution of the way that people buy things that have dramatically changed how people shop and consumer behaviour, and therefore, your marketing as a company, as an organisation. The first one was the introduction of major e-commerce, Amazon and eBay. When they started selling things online, that changed a lot for a lot of people. That was a big deal. Then, the smartphone, which we all take for granted now, but that was 2007, the rise of the smartphone. You've now got your credit cards, you've got your favourite shops, you've got everything there on a device that you can walk about with in your pocket. We're used to it now, we pay things with it and stuff, but that merging of currency, which was coins, which was notes, and information, which was television, borrowing DVDs off your mate, that all changed when the smartphone happened and it merged it all together. Now it's beautifully working in sync, isn't it? Next day delivery in 2013, that was also a game changer, think about it. I can go into town and get it because I need it in 2 days' time. I can't wait a week. Well, I got good news for you. We've got next day delivery now. You can buy it and it will be shipped straight to your house. You don't have to leave. And it will turn up and it will be there. And guess what? If you don't get it stained, keep the label in, you can take it back and it's all good. Next day delivery changed a lot of things for us. And then of course in 2020 we all know what happened. The C word. And that sped it all up. That dramatically increased the timeline that we were already on. We were on a journey and it sped it up by about 10 years over the space of about 6 months. And so now we find ourselves where we are, which is a peculiar sort of melting pot of, is the high street dead? Not sure, there's still a place for it. Am I going to be able to grow my business without doing ads? Am I going to be able to grow my business without having a website? I'm not sure. I'm hearing about what that person's doing. I'm not doing that. Should I be doing that? Questions, questions, questions. And it can get quite confusing and overwhelming. Agree? Yeah, cool. Which is why I come to places like this to try and siphon through the things that are going to work for you so that you can double down on your efforts. Because you've only got a certain amount of energy, haven't you? And you've only got a certain amount of time, and you've only got a certain amount of money. Budget, there's risk involved, am I making the right decision? I don't know. That's why you're in places like this today. Yeah? Perfect. Your website is your shop, right? So the world's opened up. Somebody can come and say, guess what, somebody isn't in your shop right now. Is anyone there? Is it empty? Did you hoover? Have you changed the shop window today? Our old stock on show. Have you got new stock? Like, if that was the case, how many of you would be as relaxed as you are now? If you had some of you may have a physical shop, but if you had a physical shop that you have left unattended right now, and you were sitting here and you think, oh man, I hope it looks good, I hope it's okay, I hope nobody's there. What if a customer's coming in right now and wants to spend like a whole lifetime's worth of customer spend in one go? Oh my God, I shouldn't be here. I should be in my shop. That's all changed, right? It's called your website now. And there are some real psychological, scientific, set in stone things that we still do as human beings. Because yes, the evolution over the last 25 years has been vast. But as human beings, we haven't evolved much. Arguably, we might have even gone backwards. But listen to these similarities, right? So first of all, your location of your store has been replaced by the placement of your links. Your shop window, which you used to take a lot of pride over, and you'd make sure you had all the stuff there that people want, the shiny new things, new season, new style, all that stuff. Well, that's now your virtual assets. They're things like your social media posts and your profiles and the things that you put out in the form of content into the world, onto the big high street of the internet. The layout of your shop, now don't forget, people's jobs, right, used to be to stand in the corner of a shop with a clipboard and watch where people walk. And that was worth a lot of money, because if you could report back to a shop and say, did you know 42% of people when they walk in look at that wall? Well, where are you going to put your best stuff then? On that wall. Well, that's now your website navigation. So when someone goes to your website, what are they looking at? Well, we could employ someone with a clipboard to stand there in your shop and find that out, but now we've got analytics. But how many of us are looking at our analytics? They're there. Some of us haven't even got analytics set up, trust me. Every time. Have you got analytics? I don't know. You haven't then. Because you want to be knowing that stuff inside out, like your analytics of what people are looking at. How much is it worth to know if someone's looking at that wall every time they walk in? You don't see that because you're not the customer. Just like if you have a shop, you don't see that because you're there every day. You're looking at that wall every day, but they're coming and going, oh, look at that. That could be something like a blog post on your website, or it could be a page on your website. Maybe you think the first thing they do is go to your services page, but actually they're going to your About Us page because they're nosy and they want to know more about you. Don't know until you look at the analytics, so that's your shopping behaviour. Your shop assistant, hi, can I help? Hi, what are you looking for today? Well, that's now your pop-up, isn't it? That's your pop-up. Now, do you remember when you used to go into it, we still do go into shops, let's get it right, there are still shops out there. You'd go into a shop and then someone's there and they're one of those annoying shop assistants. Well, your annoying pop-up it's the same as that, apart from they haven't got to be polite. Because there's not a person stood there. No, I'm okay, thank you. Get that off my screen. Right? So that's a negative experience. That's a behaviour that is happening that maybe you don't know about. But that pop-up could also be very helpful. That pop-up could also be very good for customer service. Hey, today's a good day, your lucky day. Everything on that rail over there is half price. Let me know if you need anything. Oh, thanks. Your pop-up can do that too. Your pop-up can do that. So there's your pop-up. Your payment desk or your till is now your checkout, right? So that's quite obvious. But when you go to your checkout, is it positive? Is it the same as service with a smile? Or is it really difficult? Is there nowhere to put your bag, your handbag, you'll put it on the floor? Like all that inconvenient stuff. When you go into a shop and they know how to look after you, they've got all that nice big desk and you can put stuff on there, you can put your items on there, there's lots of space. Well, what's the equivalent? What's the digital equivalent of that positive experience? Because that's happening now in your cart, in your checkout. Product placement. Remember, it's like Burton. I used to work in Burton on Saturdays, and they used to make a big thing about where they put certain items. You know, there'd be shoes at the back. That would be for a reason, because if someone comes in to buy shoes, their whole body is real estate that we can sell to them. Right? Someone walks through the entire shop to go and buy shoes, it's easy to go, oh, you getting new shoes? Yeah, there's some trousers too, man. Like, you want to give me those new shoes? Hey, you got new shoes? Have you got a shirt to go with those shoes? Because they look smart. You going out? Where are you going? Okay, sounds good. What about formal hire? So there's all those upsell opportunities. The product placement is really important, and that's now changed, hasn't it? Because that's your content, and that's the way that you arrange your website to try and keep people on there. For example, and here's a takeaway for you, you can put some content on your website that's interesting, engaging, entertaining, some of the stuff that's already been spoken about, and then you can have your version of a shop assistant at the bottom of that page. But don't just pop a box on there, a contact form, what's that? That's like you going, looking at the shoes in the back of Burton's, and then as you leave, I'm going, come back again and buy more! But thanks a lot. Yeah, all right. But if it was more helpful, I noticed today that you were looking at shoes. Let me know if you ever want a pair of trousers. Come and see me because I can give you buy one, get one free, or whatever it might be, so that it becomes useful and serving. Now I get it. Sometimes these things can seem quite overwhelming, but they are quite quick to put into practice. And if you only take one thing from what I'm saying and from every talk, only take one thing, then you're going to leave with 6 different things that you can start doing straight away. And that implementation is really important, and the speed of implementation is important too. But we can be busy, right? We can be busy, flapping about, bouncing from one idea to the next, busying ourselves with distracting things, or we can, you know what I mean? Yeah? Or you can pick one and you can just like knuckle down and do it until it's done. And then when it's done, the rest of the list is still going to be there. You go on to the next thing, and you do that. Yeah, and I do a bit of consulting. I do a lot of consulting with companies, and my philosophy is the one thing that's going to make the biggest amount of difference now. Do not talk about anything else until that's done. Because you have to do that in order for the next thing to then make logical progress happen. Otherwise you're bouncing in between, dividing your energy too thin, and you're running from fire to fire. Do we know that feeling? I definitely know that feeling. I've definitely done that many, many times. But there is a way around it. So another interesting one for this, like who knows about like influencers and influencer marketing and stuff like that? Yeah? So influencer marketing is basically like somebody on the internet going, I really like that, I have that, you should have that too, and here's a discount. Old school equivalent of that is somebody walking through town and you overhear a conversation about what they just bought in their bag, which is branded as they're walking. So even the influencers existed back then, it's just that they didn't take selfies all the time and that sort of thing. But they were still there, they were still influencing things. You ever been to one of them like places on holiday where people were just chucking flyers in your face to try and get you in the bar? Yeah, like flyers, discounts, flyers. Well, that happens still, doesn't it, online? Well, that's an ad. There it is, bang! Free drinks! If you take it, you've now got the offer. Sometimes they grab you, round you up, and walk you in. Walk you in there, sit you down, there it is. But, of course, if the expectation of somebody out on the street and all the promises that they make, and then they get you in and it's crud, and it's horrible, and there's like rats and stuff, then that's going to be a mismatch of expectations, and that's not going to be good for brand. I say that because sometimes people invest in ads, but they don't get their website sorted. So they are literally throwing money on the floor. Because your website is your digital shop front. Think about it. All right, employ me to go out there and start canvassing people with you, putting leaflets and cards in people's hands. I'll bring them in. But when I bring them in, you don't give them what I've promised, we're going to have problems, all of us, aren't we? All three of us. Me and you and the customer, me and the customer. Right? And it's the same thing. So yes, you could invest in ads, but is your digital shopfront ready to take that traffic? Now I can remember walking into town from school, from John Hanson, old John Hanson. Anyone? Yeah, old John Hanson. And me and my mates knew that if we got into town before 4 o'clock, there was a shop next to the toilets in the Chantry Centre, and it was a television shop. Now, for those of you that didn't experience time back then, that's a shop that just sells tellies. Yeah? Tellies. Just TVs. But we knew that if we got there before 4 o'clock, we could sit down and watch Pokemon. We could sit in that shop and watch the new episode of Pokemon on the floor together. And we used to do it. So we used to go to that little sweet shop on the corner, like from John Hanson down the old bus bay off there, down the road, little sweet shop, it's empty now. And then go to that TV shop, sit there, look at the TVs, watch Pokemon together. How times have changed. The times will change again, because they always do. There's one thing that's for certain, everything changes. And just like Blockbuster and NBC closed down in 2005, like as a company. Blockbuster, I'm not sure, probably around about the same sort of time, but they didn't evolve. Guys, it will evolve again. Now this is hard to take sometimes, because the whole point of this is not to be overwhelmed, but it can be an overwhelming feeling to think, well, just as I start to grab hold of this bit, it's going to disappear over there and become something else. Well, I'm going to give you a heads up. Now, I like everybody else, does not know what's going to happen. We can't tell the future, but we can look at trends, and we can look at history to learn what the future might hold. I said at the beginning, attention, what were the other two? Traffic, conversion, well done, thank you, Liz. Attention, traffic, conversion. It's all about how we browse, right? It's changed. We go online now, we look at content, it takes us, pings us around the internet. We go to search engines when we're looking for something specific, we search on there, and then depending on where we rank, depends on where our traffic goes. Depending on the experience we have when we get to that website, depends on where our conversion goes. We either give it or we go out and find somewhere else. It will change again, and there are two big disruptors that are arguably happening now. AI and voice search. So again, no one really knows what's going to happen, but we can look at trends. Anything that makes things more convenient sells. I don't need to leave my house now because I can go on the internet. That was the thinking before. Next day delivery, smartphones, all that. Well, there are a vast amount of people. Let's actually ask the question in here. Who uses Google to find answers? Who uses ChatGPT or any kind of AI to find answers? Oh, look at that, who's for it? Look at that. Hands up again if you do. Wow. Isn't it a way more reassuring experience, by the way? When you search on Google, it's like you get all these options. When you search on ChatGPT, it's like, this is probably the best one, mate. Do that. But where is it getting that information from? Well, convenience, clarity, and it's pulling that information from somewhere, so it needs to be clear, it needs to meet your search needs. It wants to be convenient, it wants to be your friend. Let's try and keep it that way. All right, say thank you to ChatGPT. It's very important, you never know. It's keeping scores, I swear down. Clarity and community. it knows what people think and it knows what people say about companies. So that's where your reviews, your testimonials, is pulling information from anywhere that you can find information. It knows if you're lying. If you're trying to blag it, like if you've got like fake reviews or whatever, it knows that. It knows that. So is it going to give somebody you, or is it going to give someone else that might be more legitimate if someone asks it to find an answer? It wants to serve, it wants to be convenient, and it wants to give you the clarity that you want. Same with voice search, because you don't get to see the list. You can say to a Smetzer, I won't say it because people's devices can go bananas, find me a plumber that can come and fix this thing that I've got going on in my bathroom, and it will tell you, here is a number for Joe Blogg's Plumbing. Why did it pick Joe Blogg's Plumbing? It didn't just pull it out of the hat, because if that's a negative experience, you ain't going to ask it again. It wants to serve, it wants your attention, and it wants to be convenient. So, where's it pulling that information from? Websites, social, what other people are saying, it's all there. The internet is written in ink, and the truth is what's going to power these search devices. So don't try and con it, don't try and trick it. Quality, purpose, and content is the way forward in order to be ranking, we don't know how it's going to be, high on these searches. But this isn't happening so much now, it's coming though. I nearly didn't do this talk, and I'll tell you why. I went into town on Saturday, right? With my 8-year-old boy. And he said, Dad, let's go to this shop. I was like, okay, yeah, cool, like whatever. So I followed him around town, he led me there, okay? And we walked into this unit in town. Guess what? Next to the toilets, in the charging centre. I thought to myself, this used to be a television shop. I thought I used to sit in there and watch Pokemon. What the heck? It's full of Pokemon. The whole place is full of Pokemon. Pokemon teddies, Pokemon cards, the whole of it, full of Pokemon and collectible stuff. And I think, wow, this is crazy. Like, this exact spot, I used to sit here as a kid, watch Pokemon. I'm telling that he's not listening, he's off. He's gone to the back where they do like trading and they look at cards and they can get cards out and buy them and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, oh my god, I'm doing this talk and it's going to be basically about bricks to clicks and like the high street. But there's loads of people in here. It kind of goes against what I'm saying because it's thriving in here. It's packed. I thought, oh, what am I going to do? This guy's broken the mold. This guy is the Neo, right, of the Matrix. Pikachu, 20 odd years later, he's still dominating shop space. I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I started chatting to the matey in there. I said, this is brilliant, you've got all these people in here, isn't it great? So how do you get all in here? And he went, we advertise online. So it is about attention, it is about traffic, it is about conversion. That is the same and it always will be. It's about being flexible as to how you achieve the attention, where then you take that traffic and you manage that traffic, and then how you make that conversion and increase your conversion rate. Marketing can be really, really simple. This is the science of it. The art is the pictures, the words you use, and the way that you do it, and the placement and all of that. But essentially, you can measure and manage your attention, you can measure and manage the traffic, and you can measure and manage the conversion. And when you pay attention to those three things and you increase the performance of those three things, you will achieve a business profit, hopefully, if your outgoings are under control, of course. But yeah, if you want any more information, my team are here as well, give us a wave. If you want to talk to us about anything related to marketing, then please do. If you want to reminisce about the high street, then just talk to me, because they don't care about that. They didn't grow up around here, so come to me and say, we can reminisce about the high street. But we are running a workshop at the end of April, and we've got about 4 or 5 spaces for that, and you can come when you want to, so let us know. But thank you for your time and energy. I hope it's been helpful for you.
So Pikachu, I'm unfortunately, I'm only 20 this year, so all of the shops that you've just mentioned have kind of gone in one ear and out the other. Heard of Blockbuster, but I heard of it because it died. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Give one more round of applause to Colin, please. Okay, moving swiftly on now to Rich Bell, who is the CEO. Now CEO, SEO, same thing.